Hey everyone, welcome back to How to Hub. Before I show you the most incredible industrial transformation you've probably never seen, I need to ask you something. You're surrounded by steel right now, your phone, the building you're in, maybe even the car outside. But here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Do you actually know how that solid, dependable steel started its life? Because I'm about to show you something absolutely insane, how glowing, liquid metal that's literally hotter than lava gets transformed into the strongest material that built our modern world. And trust me, stick around until the very end because I'm going to reveal the most shocking part of this process that even most engineers don't know about. We use steel every single day, but I guarantee you've never seen its true origin story. It doesn't just magically appear in factories. What I'm about to show you is an intense, fiery metamorphosis where molten rivers of metal get transformed through raw industrial power into the solid material that literally holds our civilization together. So let me take you on this incredible journey, and I promise you'll never look at steel the same way again. But here's the deal, you need to stick with me through the entire process because the final revelation is going to completely change how you understand the world around you. Let's start at the very beginning to the fiery birth of steel. Picture this, we're talking about temperatures that reach over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to melt copper pennies like ice cubes. Inside these massive blast furnaces, and I mean absolutely massive, some are over 100 feet tall, iron ore gets completely liquefied. The scale of these operations is mind-blowing. We're talking about industrial behemoths that consume entire trainloads of raw materials every single day. The raw power involved here is something you have to see to believe. But here's where it gets interesting, that this molten iron that comes out, called pig iron, is actually pretty much useless for anything we'd recognize as steel products. It's full of impurities, carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, basically a molten mess that needs some serious refinement. Now, this is where the real magic happens, and this part is absolutely mesmerizing to watch. Picture jets of pure oxygen being blasted into this molten metal at twice the speed of sound. We're talking about an industrial dance that's both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. These oxygen lances create what looks like controlled explosions inside massive furnaces. The carbon gets burned away in spectacular fashion, creating this incredible light show as impurities are literally incinerated. But here's the really cool part, this isn't just about removing stuff. It's about adding exactly the right elements at precisely the right moments. Think of it like cooking, but instead of salt and pepper, we're adding chromium for stainless steel, or manganese for strength, or nickel for corrosion resistance. Every addition is calculated down to fractions of a percent because that tiny difference determines whether you get steel for a paperclip or steel for a skyscraper. But wait, it gets even more incredible. Once we have this perfect molten steel composition, we need to turn it from liquid into solid. And the way this happens is through one of the most impressive industrial processes you'll ever see. Imagine rivers of glowing steel flowing through massive casting machines. These continuous casting lines can produce steel at speeds that would make your head spin. We're talking about several feet of solid steel beam being formed every single minute. The engineering behind this is absolutely incredible. The molten steel flows into water-cooled copper molds that are vibrating constantly to prevent the steel from sticking. As it cools, it forms this solid shell while the inside is still molten, and it gets pulled through rollers and water sprays in this perfectly choreographed mechanical ballet. The speed and efficiency is mind-boggling. A single casting line can produce enough steel in 1 hour to build several cars. But here's something that'll really blow your mind. The initial solidification process during these first few minutes actually determines the internal crystal structure of the steel, which affects its strength for its entire lifetime. Now, here's where things get really wild. Once we have solid steel, the transformation is just getting started. Picture massive rolling mills with steel rollers that weigh as much as school buses, generating pressures of thousands of tons per square inch. These machines can take a thick steel slab and stretch it into wire thinner than your finger, or forge massive beams that'll hold up skyscrapers. The sheer force involved is incredible. We're talking about machines that could flatten a car like a pancake, but they're controlled with precision down to fractions of an inch. Hot rolling happens when the steel is still glowing red hot, which makes it easier to shape but creates a rougher surface. Cold rolling happens at room temperature, which requires enormous force but creates that smooth, precise finish you see on cars and appliances. And here's something fascinating. During this rolling process, the internal grain structure of the steel actually gets refined and aligned, making it stronger than it was when it first solidified. It's like the metal is getting a workout that makes it tougher. But the versatility is what's really amazing. The same basic steel can be shaped into I-beams for construction, thin sheets for car bodies, or drawn into cables strong enough to hold up suspension bridges. It all depends on how we manipulate it during these forming processes. Now, here's where I need you to really pay attention because this next part is going to change how you see the world around you. Steel isn't just in some things, it's in practically everything. That smartphone in your pocket? The internal frame is steel. The building you're in right now? The skeleton is steel. The car in your garage, the bridge you drove over to get here, the appliances in your kitchen, even the tools that made the other tools, it's steel all the way down. But here's the really incredible part that most people never think about. We're living in the middle of a steel revolution that's happening right now. Engineers are developing new steel alloys that are stronger than anything we've ever had before. We're talking about advanced high-strength steels that are making cars both lighter and safer. There are new stainless steel compositions that are completely corrosion-proof in environments that would destroy traditional metals. Some new steel alloys can actually remember their original shape and return to it after being deformed. And get this, researchers are working on steel that can heal its own cracks, steel that conducts electricity better than copper, and even steel that can change its properties based on temperature or magnetic fields. The cutting-edge stuff happening in steel research right now is like something out of science fiction, but it's real and it's happening in labs around the world. But here's the part one promised you'd want to stick around for, the shocking truth that's going to completely change how you think about steel and our modern world. Are you ready for this? Here it is. Every single piece of steel we use today contains atoms that have been recycled through this same process dozens, maybe hundreds of times throughout history. The steel in your car might contain iron atoms that were once part of a Roman sword, a medieval cathedral, or a 19th century railroad. Steel is infinitely recyclable without losing its properties. That old car gets melted down and becomes part of a new skyscraper. That skyscraper eventually gets demolished and becomes part of a new bridge. It's an endless cycle of rebirth that connects us to every generation that came before us and every generation that will come after. When you really think about it, we're all connected through this incredible material that flows through human civilization like a metallic bloodstream, constantly being reborn but never dying. Every piece of steel around you has a history stretching back potentially thousands of years, and it'll continue its journey long after we're gone. That's the incredible, hidden story of how molten metal becomes steel, not just the industrial process, but the eternal cycle that connects all of human civilization through this one amazing material. So what did you think of that incredible journey from molten metal to the steel that surrounds us? Did that final revelation blow your mind as much as it did mine when I first learned about it? Drop a comment below and let me know what part of the steelmaking process surprised you the most. If this video opened your eyes to the incredible world of industrial processes, smash that like button to help others discover it too. And definitely subscribe to How to Hub and hit that notification bell because we're diving deep into more mind-blowing industrial secrets that will change how you see the world around you. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.